Login to algorithmvisual.com is taking 5 minutes instead of 10 seconds. You need to prepare a defect. Report for that defect. How do you prepare? Scenarios will come first or test cases will come first? Scenarios, right? If you want to prepare test scenarios, what is a prerequisite? What is a reference for test scenarios? I'm asking you to write test scenarios, but someone should give you some input, right? If I tell you like, okay, write test scenarios, what is the product? What is the requirement you need to check? What are the requirements? So requirements documents will come first, then test scenarios, after that test cases. Requirements documents are requirement specifications. Software requirements or software specifications document. Software requirement documents and software specifications documents, SRD, SSD. So these things you should ask before writing test scenarios. Once you have these test scenarios, then you can work on the test cases. So if you want to execute test cases, we require some environment that is called test environment. Testers will use QA environment. Developers, which environment does developers use? Development. That's it. Okay. So all these are like different servers. Some servers developers will use it. Some servers testers will use. And production servers are completely different. We don't do testing in production servers. What is the reason? What is the problem if you perform testing in production environment? Anyone? Tell me what's that. Question. What is the problem if you perform testing in production environment rather than test environment? Cost becomes more. Yes, that is one of the answer. High cost. Yes. Cost of the defect will increase. And moreover, if something goes wrong in your testing, all the customers will get affected, right? That's the reason we don't do any kind of testing in production environment. Defect life cycle. Who wants to tell the phases of defect life cycle? First, it starts with unconfirmed, right? Then next comes up new. Okay. Then next from new it will go to the assigned. From assigned, resolved, then verified. Finally, we close. In resolve, we get different resolutions. What are the resolutions you remember? Resolved fixed, resolved as designed, resolved duplicate, resolved can't reproduce, resolved will not fix. So you should understand the difference between those resolutions. Okay. What do you mean by reopen? When do we move the defect to reopen? Who wants to answer this? If the bug is valid, unconfirmed to reopen, can I move? Bug is valid, you cannot move, right? What is the meaning of reopen? Tell me. Showing the same result. So when it comes to reopen means, you see the diagram, clearly it is there. One new defect is there, it is assigned to developer. He said it is fixed. Tester again verified it. from resolved fixed to he is moving to reopen, because after verification defect is still existing, so we reopen the defect. That's it. Okay. Answer is there in the slide itself. Defect life cycle, that's what we discussed in last session, severity and priority. Okay, let us talk about testing life cycle. So far we discussed about development life cycle, defect life cycle, and testing life cycle. Testing life cycle means how do we create test cases, how do we execute it, how do we close the test cycle. That's called testing life cycle. There are some phases. We'll go through that quickly. Already you guys know this one. Defect life cycle, development life cycle. Development life cycle, everyone knows it, right? Plan, requirement gathering and analysis. Then comes up design, coding, testing, deployment, support maintenance. Okay. So testers will work in which phase? Developers, development phase. In that picture, developers will work in the development phase. Architects design more effectively, but they may involve in requirement gathering and analysis also. One of the tester is doing functionality testing for an application. In which phase he is doing that? What is the current phase of the tester? That is the question. One of the engineer is performing functional testing. What is the current phase of that specific engineer? What is the current phase he is working? Testing or development? Same thing. Functional testing, performance testing, security testing, or integration testing, everything is in the testing phase. Okay. One of the engineer is doing unit testing by going through the code and check and trying to fix some defects. In which phase that engineer is working? Unit testing is like developers will do it. Okay. Unit testing means they check the small piece of code. That is called unit testing. They're doing the development phase. After developing the application, the business team has come to know that the major changes are required for that application. Okay, where almost 40 to 50% of the application gets changed. They are trying to re-architecture the entire application. In which phase does the engineer is working? They are trying to do the complete re-architecture. Tell me the phase in development life cycle. Which one? What is the answer? Online? Re-architecture means in which phase they do? Designing phase. That's it now. If you get small hint, you should be able to catch the answers. That is the design phase. Okay. The application developers and testers together, they have developed a very good application, but one of the engineer is finding some issues in the okay. I can leave that question. Let us get into the software testing lifecycle. Within this testing, right, testers are going to do the testing, but they need some reference how to develop test scenarios and how to write test cases. The reference is requirements documents. That is called software specifications requirements or functional specification requirements. So the testing lifecycle will start like first requirement analysis. The requirement is implement login with the username and password and submit button. That is the requirement for login. Developers, what they will do with that requirement? They try to develop the code. Parallelly, what will testers do? They try to develop test cases or they try to write test scripts. Test scripts are nothing but test cases. Already we discussed, right? How to write test cases, how to write test scenarios. Already you know it. We just need to see the process for it. So requirement analysis. So in requirement analysis, you should try to understand the requirements. If you are not understanding any of the requirements, what do you do as a tester? Whom you are going to ask? Testing manager or development manager or architect? Definitely it should be development managers or product team. Product means like product managers. They know are the clients. Clients will give these features. Those features will be discussed with development managers and architects. So if you are not clear, then we need to have discussion with them. Okay. Once the requirement analysis is done, then we'll move on to the test planning. Test planning in the sense, how many days is required for test case development? How many days is required for execution? Which environment we should use? Do we require any tools? And are there any dependencies, risks? So all these things will be discussed in the test planning. What is the entry criteria? What is the exit criteria? Once the test plan is done, what next? Test case development. Okay. So to develop test cases, what is the reference? Scenarios. First, scenarios are like single line sentences on based on the requirements. Okay, roughly you'll try to list down like different scenarios. From scenarios, you try to write test cases. Once the test cases are done, test environment setup. Who wants to tell what is meant by test environment setup? Test environment setup means what? IPL match is there between Bangalore and Hyderabad. Directly they'll go to the ground and play, or like they'll wait for the pitch report and environment and whether the ground is clean or not. So everything has to be set, right? And enough security should be there. Same thing here. Before we test any test cases, first we should see whether test environment is stable or not. What is the reserved or dedicated test environment? QA environment, QA1 server or QA2 server. What is its configuration, whether it is feasible for testing or not. All those things will be discussed in the test environment setup. Once the test environment is ready, you have the test environment, you have the test cases, then what next? Execution. So developers, once they are done with the development, will wait for the application. Once they give the application for us, then only we can perform testing. Within testing, there are a lot of different types of testing. We'll discuss that. Test, that is called test case execution. Okay. Then finally, you find some defects and you report those defects. Completely, you should send like, okay, test case 1, pass or fail. Test case 2, pass or fail. And in case if it is failing, what should you do? If some test case fails, what should you do? Tell me first row. Last 3 rows. If your test case fails, what does it mean? That is a defect, right? You need to report the defect or report the problem. And that report should include what are the things it should include, already we discussed. That's it. This is a complete process about testing. Once the reporting is done, test cycle closes. You should confirm to the team saying like, okay, we are done with the testing and we have reported these defects. Guys, just fix these defects. That's it. Okay. This is called testing life cycle. Development life cycle, testing life cycle, bug life cycle. 3 cycles are there. You have to remember all these 3. Very, very important. And apart from that, CVRD, priority, testing, what is meant by quality. I think I have shared this PDF document in that shared drive. Go through this. No, it should be there. Documents folder. Don't refer in cyber security, refer in free sessions of freshers. Already I shared it in the group. Okay. Now let us talk about different levels of test. Okay. What are the different types of testing, different levels of testing? Who will be doing it? and what is the significance of each type of testing, that we'll discuss it in today's session. Developers are developing the application. They write small lines of code, 2 or 3 lines of code to check whether their functionality is working or not. That is called unit testing. Okay. So unit testing is done by the developers. Don't think like testing means it is for testing only. Unit testing means it is a white box testing. Okay. Developers will work on unit testing. They deal with the code. The next one is build acceptance testing. Already I told, whenever the testers accept the application, they have to do some basic testing. That basic testing should include major functionality. Say, for example, you want to test transfer funds. For testing transfer funds, login should work. If login is not working, should I accept that application? Should I accept the build? Build is like the testing application, the set of files, build verification test or build acceptance test. We'll check whether the application is working condition or not. If the application is not in a working condition, we don't test it. Okay, that is called build acceptance testing. Testing the application for some major functionality. That is called build acceptance testing. Once build is accepted, assume like there are 1,000 test cases. 1,000 test cases are there after login. If login is not working, do you pass build acceptance test or you fail build acceptance test? Pass or fail? Fail the build or pass the build. We call it like failing the build, passing the build. So passing the build means QA has accepted that application for testing, and you have to test all the test cases. There are 1,000 test cases, and among that 900 test cases comes after the login. Login is not working. You got the build from the developers. You found that login is not working. Do you fail the build or you pass the build? Passing the build means you are ready to test it. Failing the build means, okay, we don't accept this package. Fix this issue and give it again. Like that. So if login is not working, do you fail the build or pass the build? Fail the build. Okay, you have to fail the build. Then only they'll fix. And without login functionality, how can you test view accounts, transfer funds, adding beneficiary, all those things you cannot test it. Okay. One more scenario. You got the build and you are doing the build acceptance testing. You come to know like after login, there is an option called contact us. Contact us link is giving blank page. Okay, other functionalities are working. View accounts, transfer funds, all those things are working. Do you pass the build or fail the build? You have to pass the build. Contact us is a sub tab, right? You can test other functionalities. You have to fail the build only if major functionality is not working. So once the build acceptance testing is done, then we'll test rest of the 900 test cases. That is called functional testing. Testing the application's functionality is called functional testing. That's it. Testing the functionality of the application by going through the requirements is called functional testing. Build acceptance testing will verify the major functionality of that application. Integration testing. What is the answer? Testing of an application by integrating two or more modules is called integration testing. That's it. Simple definition. Remember it. Say, for example, you have login, you have transfer funds, you have view accounts. Like that, multiple pages are there. Earlier, all these functionalities are tested separately by different testers. Now we want to test or you want to integrate all this functionality and then test it. Just like you have a car. Earlier, one guy has tested only AC. Okay, separate, only that AC block. Tire functionality is also tested separately. They are trying to play around the tire separately, like that. And finally, what they do, before they deliver the car, they integrate all the things. Right? Sometimes some of the functionality will work independently. When you integrate, it may not work because of some compatibility issues. So integrating one or more modules and testing the application is called integration testing. System testing. System testing means exactly the production kind of environment. Testing the application by treating that application as a single system. So it should have production kind of environment. That is called system testing. Production kind of environment means, earlier I said like car is giving 25 kilometers per hour as per the manufacturer. But when you drive in the road, it will give you 21. Then he says like, okay, there should not be air, there should not be dust, there should not be stones on the road. Like that, this guy will say manufacturer. Those are ideal conditions, right? System testing means the testing of an application in the real time. Exactly the production kind of environment. Okay. User acceptance testing. What is mean by user acceptance testing? So before we give to the customer or before we give to the client, we test that application finally one time. That is called user acceptance testing. These are different levels of testing. Apart from that, we have different types of testing also there. Different types of testing means black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing. Then performance testing, security testing, ad hoc testing. What are the other types of testings? Smoke testing, static, sanity, black box. Like that, we have different types of testing. We'll go through that once. Okay. Any doubts, anyone? Scope of testing. Scope of testing, we'll discuss it later. I'll share this document as well. Test tracking tool and defect tracking tool. Already we discussed about how to write the test case and how to write defect. So test cases, we have to write it in test tracking tool. Defects, we have to write it in defect tracking tool. What is the difference between severity and priority? This already we discussed. Go through this document once again. Then let us talk about bug tracking tool. Bug tracking means you need to report the defect. So it is not like we are writing in Excel sheet. They might be having some tool. Tool means nothing but again it is a web-based application. You have to log in with your account. After login, you get a page like this. Welcome to Bugzilla. You want to file a defect. You want to report a defect. So what should you do? Which option you select? File a bug, search, or open a new account. You want to report the defect. Already you have an account. File a defect. That's it. File a bug. Bug or defect, both are same. Okay. So once you click on that, then you need to provide the details of the defect. Defect details already we discussed. What are the things we have to provide? Summary, title. Are you guys able to see, right? So there will be like title, which product, component, version, then URL, which application URL it is. Apart from that, you have CRT and priority. This is already reported defect. Let us see the. Once you report the defect, it will list you like defect ID, severity, priority, operating system, assign. Assign means whether it is developer or tester. Okay. What is its status? New. What is the meaning of new? Is it valid defect or invalid defect? Developers has accepted that defect. So that's what the status. In case if you find some defect as assigned, then it might be assigned to someone. That's it. So you are able to see different options here in the bug tracking tool. New means you are trying to report a new defect. You need to click on that. Find is there, search is there. So with the help of defect ID, you should be able to find out the defect details. Lot of defects, you are able to see it here. Same thing. I'm going to search for some of the defects. So based on the product, based on the state, resolution, severity, priority, you can find. Assume like altogether, entire team has reported 100 defects. I want to fix only the high severity and high priority issues. So how do I select the filter here? Anyone? How do I select filter? These are all like filters. Filters in the sense, I want to search for high severity and high priority. I select blocker, critical as severity, then priority P1. Select only those things and click on, there will be an option for search. Search is there, right? Click on search. It will list you all the priority ones. That's how this tool works. Okay. Test tracking tool. This is the, I think, quality center QC. In test tracking tool, what should we do? We have to create the test cases. So step 1, step 2, step 3, already we discussed. So details are there. Some description about the test cases. Design steps, those are test steps. Parameters, in case if you want to give some additional details, you can give it there. Test configurations, attachments. Any prerequisite, you can add it there as well. This is how the test tracking tool works. HPALM, application lifecycle management. Test plan, test lab. Same thing. It doesn't matter whatever is the tool. In all the tools, you'll be able to see test cases. That's it. You should know how to see the test case, how to mark the test case as pass or fail. Okay. So from now onwards, if someone asks you whether you have do you have the knowledge of test tracking tool or bug tracking tool, say yes. You know what will be there in the test tracking tool, what will be there in the defect tracking tool. Test cases and defects. That's it. Test runs. Test runs means how many times you are going to execute the test case, who executed the test case last time. Those details will be there. Execution details, that's it. Now test strategy and test plan. What are these test strategy and test plan consists? We'll go through this later. Common types of software testing. So far we discussed about different levels of testing. Now we'll talk about different types of testing. Okay. More commonly asked. There are like 100 plus testing types are there, but out of that, maybe 15 or 20 are more oftenly referred. So we'll go through that list. You guys have to answer these things. Black box testing. Who wants to read this? Okay, first row.
Testing of the application without having knowledge about the internal application or structure. Testing is based on requirements and functionality.
Testing is based on the requirements and functionality. So internal workflow, internal requirements, we don't know. We are like a normal user. That's it. So testing the application without having the knowledge of internal implementation is called black box testing. Black box. Will you be able to see anything if it is in the black box? No, right? So no access to the internal details. That is called black box testing. Simple logic. Try to remember like that. No one expects the perfect definition. Most of the interviews they expect like whether you have the knowledge or not. Okay. Black box testing, no details about the internal implementation or internal architecture. That's it. Okay. Next, white box testing. Who wants to read this? Let's read.
Code and structure. Code walkthrough conditions.
Okay. So white box testing means we know the internal details of the application, internal code. Most oftenly, white box is done by the developers or testers. Developers or testers. Who has access to the internal code? Developers. Okay. Developers will be doing the white box testing. These are all interview questions. Gray box. Combination of both black box and white box. Manual testing. Test case execution by humans without taking help of any tools. That is called manual testing. Name itself will tell like whether it is manual or automation. Automation testing. Tell me, what is my automation testing? You can read the statement.
Test case execution is done with the help of tools like
Selenium. Okay, any other tools? QTP. TestNG is a framework, right? Then Tofka or Kofka? What is that? What is that? Tosca. Okay, any other tools? Some more tools are there. Some frameworks are there, right? Okay, even I also don't remember. Cucumber framework is there. Some more frameworks are test-driven framework, data-driven framework. Any other frameworks of automation? We'll go through that when you get into the automation. Static testing. Yes, go ahead. You can read that statement.
Testing of an application without executing the software.
So, static testing means you can go through the code review. You don't run that application. For example, there is a car or there is a bus. You are not starting the engine. Just it is there in front of you. You want to perform testing. Is it possible? Yes or no? Is it possible to test? Out of 1,000 test cases, can we execute some test cases? Can I check the color? Car or vehicle is not running, but still, is it possible to test some cases? I can check the color. I can check quality of the material. I can check the seating arrangement. I can check the look and feel. So without executing the code. So if you start the engine, that is called runtime. If you're not starting the engine, similarly, if you're running the application, that is called runtime. Runtime in the sense, you are executing that application. If you are not executing the application means, the application features will be there in the requirements documents, right? Requirements documents and code. We just walk through the code, don't execute the code. That is called static testing. Okay. White box testing is static testing or dynamic testing? Static testing. White box means you are walking through the code. You are not executing the code. When you run the application, launch the application, then only it is dynamic testing. Okay. Dynamic testing. Yes, you can read the statement.
Testing of the application during the
Runtime. Runtime in the sense, normally whenever you log into some application or try to play some games, transfer amount, place an order in the Flipkart or return the order, all these are runtime. Okay. Static means developer is there in the company. He is going through the code, or developer or tester is there. He is going through the requirements documents. With the requirements documents also, we should be able to find out some defects. Those are called static testing versus dynamic testing. Remember, black box versus white box, manual versus automation. static versus dynamic. All these are one line answers. Remember these things. Retesting. Second row. Come on. Read. Testing of a bug fix. Very simple statement. Someone has fixed the defect. You need to verify whether it is actually fixed or not. That is called retesting. Regression testing. Go ahead. Shanmukh.
Testing of regression testing of the application around the bug fix or new functionality.
That's it. So they have made some changes for fixing that defect. You try to check 20-30 scenarios around that. That is called regression testing. You are able to understand the exact difference between retesting and regression testing. 100% this question will be asked. Okay. Exploratory testing. Come on, read this.
Exploratory testing of an application in an informal manner or unplanned manner. Objective is to explore and find more defects, idea, investigate, and learn.
So we are not keeping all the requirements or test cases side to do the testing. You just have some basic understanding of that application without any planning. You just randomly test the application. Your friend has purchased one vehicle. You don't know like what are its features, all those things you don't know. You know by driving, that's it. You took the vehicle, hey, I want to go for a ride and come. And you are testing that application. Just for a quick test you can consider. That is called exploratory testing. You go some driving, you go in some speed, come back, and you do some 0 cut or 8 cut, whatever it is. Right? These are called exploratory testing. The same thing you can do with applications. I'll share this document. You guys can keep it. PDF document. Okay. When it comes to software testing, refer only my material. Don't refer any other materials because it will take 2 months to learn all those concepts. These are enough for software testing. Ad hoc testing. Ad hoc testing. You don't know anything. No documentation, no specification, nothing. Just like randomly you're checking the application. That is called ad hoc testing. Sanity. Sanity testing means very small change they have done, but you want to check some functionality. Application, major functionality is working or not. That is called sanity testing. Okay. Smoke testing. Smoke testing, build verification testing, or build acceptance testing. Smoke testing is done by the developers. Build acceptance testing is done by the testers. That is the difference. So before developers use that application to the testers, they have to ensure that major functionality is working or not. They take care of this smoke testing in most of the companies. Security testing. Who wants to answer this? We are Hacker Book is mainly into security testing. Tell me, last 2 rows, 3 rows. What do you mean by security testing? There are different ways how you can test, how you can tell the definition of security testing. Tell me, Mukta. Now, apart from this definition, how do you say, what do you mean by security testing? Tell me, sorry.
Testing of the application
To?
ensure the application.
Okay. Protected. So in security application, we are trying to protect the application. In other way, testing an application to ensure that the principles of information security. What are those? CIA are protected for that application or the system. Okay, that is called security testing. Within the security testing, you know, all 10 subdomains are there. That is very huge, but good to know what is meant by security testing for software testers. Performance testing. So in performance testing, we check about the load, stress, soak, reliability under different workloads. That's called performance testing. Acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is done by the clients, whether to accept that or not. Customer criteria is met or not. Accessibility. Accessibility means how good is ease of use. Simple definition. ease of use. If the application is more friendly, you can use it. Next, assertion testing. Assertion testing is mostly used in the automation. Okay, so you are trying to do some automation. You want to check whether some button is coming up or not. That's called assertion. Verify the condition. Equivalence partitioning. We'll discuss this in later session. Equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis. These are two different kinds of testing. We'll see it tomorrow. Compatibility testing. Yes, someone can read this. Online, who wants to read this? Let me give you permissions. Unmute and then tell the definition of compatibility testing. Yes, go ahead.
Testing application for different test environments, OS server browsers.
Yes, yes. The application is same. It may work in Chrome website, but when you are trying to launch with Firefox, it is not working. So can we raise a defect for it? Yes or no? It is application. The application is 100% perfect when you run in Google Chrome, but when you run in Firefox, there are some issues. Do you report that issue or not? Yes or no? You have to report. So this is called compatibility issue. Okay, browser compatibility issue. One more issue. Your application is working fine in Windows 10, but in Windows 11, it is not working. Is it compatibility issue or not? So basically test environment changes. That's called compatibility testing. Simple. Okay. Fuzzy testing. You try to generate or test the application with some kind of random values, invalid data, all those things. That's called fuzzy testing. Alpha testing. Development team, testing team. Together, whatever is the testing that is done before production is called alpha testing. Beta testing. Beta testing means whenever they design some applications, does anyone seen beta application?
Production. Users or customers.
No, real-time example. Real-time. Facebook beta.
Yes, WhatsApp.
Have you guys seen that? So beta or WhatsApp, no. They'll try to check the functionality with some customers, if not all the customers. Beta, they'll give you an alert. Okay, we are going through this beta program. Do you want to upgrade or not? Not mandatory upgrade. Okay, they want to test that application in the production environment with limited number of customers. That is called beta testing. Web services testing. We'll have a different session for this. Okay, we are going to use Postman tool. ఎందుకు? That's it. When you want to report a defect, these are the things you should take care. Title, summary, description, steps to reproduce, logs, screenshots, severity, priority. Okay. Scope of testing. What is meant by scope of testing? Tell me. Hey. Class 3, right? This one. Hacker book manual testing class 3.pdf. We'll have a mock interview tomorrow for everyone, online and offline. Okay. Question paper is leaked. Class 1, class 2, class 3. 3 PDF documents are there. I'll ask you straightforward questions. Go through my videos. What is meant by black box testing? What is meant by retesting? Give me the pages of software development life cycle. What is meant by defect? So all these questions I'm going to ask you. Be prepared. No special questions, straightforward questions. Okay. If I have the interview questions and answers, I'll share it right now. And then one session we are done with software testing. Okay. Manual testing documents. Under documents, you have this. Class 1 is there, class 2 is there, class 3. 3 PDF documents are there. These 3 are very important for the job. Okay. Once these are done, different development models are there. Alpha testing, beta testing is done. Boundary value analysis we'll discuss tomorrow. This is the traditional waterfall model. First, we fix the requirements. Once the requirements are done, then we'll work on the design. Once the design is completely finished, then we'll work on the development. So the flow will be from top to bottom. We cannot go back to the previous phase. This is called waterfall model. Have you seen waterfall, anyone? Yes. Nowadays, we are not using waterfall model because of some drawbacks. We are mostly using iterative or agile or sprint process. Okay. Give me one example of waterfall. Have you guys seen any waterfall? Joke Falls, Gagana Chukki, Bara Chukki. Then Niagara Falls. Which are the waterfalls you have seen? Which one? Yanges, sir? No, I didn't get you. Any other waterfalls? Hebbe Falls, huh? Okay. Near Tamil Nadu, there is one more waterfall. No? What is that? Hogenekal. Yes. You visited? How many visited Hogenekal waterfalls? Raise your hand. No one. At least Sundays you have to take break. Okay. Don't read it. Don't stress hard. Take a break once in a month. Hogenekal waterfalls is there. Any other waterfalls? Atrepalli. Okay. Lot of waterfalls are there. You guys can target some waterfalls nearby 80 kilometers. So if you have seen waterfalls, the water flows from higher heights to lower heights. It will not go from lower height to higher height. Same thing here, waterfall model means any kind of changes or anything is from higher phase to lower phase, we cannot go back. That is the difference in waterfall model. This is a traditional model. Nowadays, most of the companies are not using this. The reason is, in case if you want to do some changes in the design, it is not possible. Okay. Yes. This is called waterfall model. The next one is iterative model. Iterative means instead of completely working on entire development once and then coming to the testing, we try to split into modules, different modules. Each module will be taken care by separately. First, we'll implement module 1. Then again, once the module 1 testing is done, then we'll move on to the build 2. So this is iterative means like we try to implement in iterations. Iteration means small functionality, you can say. Okay. The next one is the difference between iterative and waterfall. Just now we discussed waterfall module, we cannot do any changes in the mid of the life cycle. Okay, in iterative model, you can do some minor changes. Spiral model. In spiral model, basically, first risk analysis is done. Then you have to do some development and testing. Check whether you are meeting the requirements or not. Again, you plan something. So this process will be in a cyclic process. This is called spiral model. Just remember these 4 phases. Planning, risk analysis, development and testing goes together. Then evaluation. Can anyone tell me what do we do in evaluation? Evaluation means you try to see whether it is reaching the expectations or not after testing and development. That's called evaluation. Risk analysis, you have a plan. You need to see the possible risks. Based on that, you need to design and develop. Then comes up agile, within the agile sprint process. The difference between iterative and sprint process is, in sprint process, we target for working functionality every sprint. So if you are trying to finish some sprint, there should be some functionality which can be tested. So in general, sprints will be for how many days? How many weeks? 2 or 3 weeks. Okay.
For one sprint.
Hmm?
For one sprint.
Yes, yes. Agile model, for one sprint, we take 2 weeks or sometimes 3 weeks. What is that? Yes, yes. So in each sprint, what they do is they review. Review means, okay, what are the things we have to test? What are the things we have to develop? All those things will be decided. How many days it takes for testing? How many days it takes for development? Who is working on development? Who is working on module 1? Who is working on module 2? All those things will be decided. Will be there in the as part of planning. Okay. Then design. After planning, you design it. Build in the sense developers or testers who works on that. Okay, then test it. After testing, review is done in the last day of the sprint, whether you are meeting you are able to finish the complete tasks in the sprint or not. That's it. Instead of completely developing at a time, we try to divide the work into sprints and then work. That's it. That is called sprint process. General interview questions are how many days sprint it is, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then what is mean by stand-up call? Who wants to answer? Stand-up call.
Actually, at the end of the day, manager class, manager done by today.
One second. Daily meetings they'll have it. Those are called stand-up calls or scrum calls. Daily 20 minutes discussion they'll have. You have to tell like, okay, what did you do yesterday? What is that you are working today? And what is that you are going to work on tomorrow? So this will be there for every day. Within 2 minutes, you have to tell. Say, for example, you are doing testing. Testers has to give update on the testing. There are 5 modules are there: login, transfer funds, view accounts, 3 modules, 3 testers are working. Assume like you are doing the execution. You have to give some status update. Who wants to give that update? Say you are trying to give the Scrum update for today. Just 10 seconds, 15 seconds. If I am a tester, I'll say like, yesterday I have executed 5 test cases on the login page. No issues on that. Some other tester is there. I have worked on the transfer funds. Transfer funds is working even for negative amount. So I'm going to raise a defect for today. That is your status update. So someone give me some status update for developer works. Okay, tell. Yes. So you can say like, okay, today I have worked on the web page for the login, and then CSS attributes I have added. Tomorrow I'm going to give these changes to the testers. Okay. Anyone else who wants to give the update as a developer? Scrum process. Go ahead, Shanmugh.
Today I developed a Java application with the inheritances and constructors, and tomorrow I will execute those projects and also.
Okay, so yeah, that's good. I have worked on the Java application which all of us are working. I have added all the mentioned CSS and elements. I'm trying to perform the unit testing right now. So by tomorrow, my testing work will be done. My development and unit testing will be done. There will be some team called deployment team. Deployment team, they take care of pushing the code to the test environment, other environments. Okay. They also has to give the update. Secure testing team is also there. Someone give me some update as a secure testing team update. Who wants to give? Online? Unmute and then give the answer. Whatever we are doing is a Scrum process now. Scrum call, we call it. All the companies, whichever follows Agile or Scrum process, they have to give the update in each and every employee within that team. Okay. Who wants to give the update as a security tester? No, online members. Kavita, go ahead.
In transfer fund phase, in transfer fund page, when we try to transfer amount from one account to another account, it is sending in some other account. I fixed the defect today. I'm going to provide that to test team.
Okay, so you are giving the update as a developer. Only thing is you are fixing the security issue, right? Okay, that's good. So if you are involved in testing, in fixing the defect, it is a developer update. As a security engineer, I'll give you one report. I'll give you one issue. Login to the application is not case sensitive. It works even with the capital letters and even small letters of the password. That is a security issue. Okay. Cross-site script in the search option of the website. That is also security defect. You can say like, I have found one defect on the cross-site script of this application. Right now I'm trying to collect right now I'm working on the proof of concept, collecting on the proof of concept details, and I'll share that issue by today evening. These are like kind of updates. When you join any company as a tester, you need to be involved in these kind of discussions in Agile process. Keep it very simple. You just need to tell whatever you are doing it. That's it. There is no complexity. Before attending the meeting itself, you be prepared what to do. You write it down in a paper or notebook. That's it. You get used to it. This is all about different development process or models. Even this document also I'll share it. Go through these documents for mock interview tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Manual testing, okay. Is it easy or tough? Software testing. Tomorrow we'll do a quick revision. First mock interview for some time. And then I'm going to explain you the same question and answers. You guys have to prepare. At last, again, I'll ask you the same question and answers. With that, we'll learn software testing. We'll move on to the endpoint management. Okay. Yes. Yes. Endpoint management, installing some softwares, uninstalling it, creating users, disabling the users, services, ports, protocols. We can expect more interviews for the freshers from February ending. So be prepared, everyone. 2020, 21, 22, 23 passed outs. Okay, guys, I'll share this document in the same location. Refer that. Be prepared for tomorrow. Go through my videos, get prepared and come. Any doubts, anyone? Okay, then thank you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow again.